Hi, I'm Jan from Mason Country on YouTube, and I would like to talk to you today about why I am on YouTube. My grandchildren, they wanted to know things about my past and my childhood and things that went on. In my first video, I was talking about all different things in my childhood that went on, not everything, but some of them. And today I'm going to do a Christmas tree with wood carvings that my husband made. And he every year made a carving for each grandchild and for me and all the children. I have 11 grandchildren and 4 children. And anyhow, it was just wonderful. He'd made so many carvings. He started when our oldest grandson was 1. He decided that he was going to start carving, and he did Aaron a baby for the first one. And then ever since, he's been doing many carvings. I think at one time we had counted 358 carvings. But he also carved wooden carvings and like with bark that would float down the lake. We would be in the boat, and we had to stop the boat so we could grab the wood that was floating down the lake. And so it was always fun. And here's one of his carvings in the wood that he did. He always could see a face no matter what. And he had many carvings. He had a lot of Santas, he had a lot of old men, and he also did an Indian. He had gotten into Indians before he passed away and before he couldn't carve anymore. But I'm going to tell you about some of my carvings and show you how I'm going to put the ribbon on the tree, and then I'll put some of the carvings on, and I'll explain the story on some of the carvings. But again, this is for my grandchildren and children so that they will know different stories of my life, and they can pass it on to their children. So I am going to put some of my ribbon on the tree, and then we'll go ahead and start some of the carvings. I like to start my tree by putting some ribbon on it. This tree is going to be kind of a woodland feel with maybe a little glitz on it, but the top I will do last. This I'm putting the ribbon down and putting it back in, and this is an artificial tree, so I just wind the branch around the ribbon, and I'll show you here. I'm going to do this right here so I can poof this in, and we'll get it in here like this. I'll probably, for just this tree, put 3 big strands, and I've got double strands. This I got on the internet, and this I picked up over at Michael's. It's pretty satin, and then I like this ribbon here for this tree. Usually on my other trees I go a little more glitzy. So this over here. So I'm going to get this other one started, and then we'll get this going here, and then I'll talk about some of my ornaments. This is going to be from here, and I'll twist this little branch around it, and it'll stay. Like I said, it's an artificial tree. I love real trees, but anymore, well, I have several trees, so I couldn't do all. I used to have a 9-foot Fraser fir that we always put in our entry hall, but then it got to be too much my husband was ill and couldn't lift it in, and I couldn't do it by myself, so I had to go to the artificial, which I still love to smell the real green. But you have to do what you have to do. I put real greenery around in different places so I can enjoy the smell of it. You see this here? Just here and little. This plaid ribbon is really pretty. A lot of times I use whiter ribbon, but this is, I think this is 2.5 inch or 3 inch. This is just like a 2 inch. So I'll leave the streamers hang down till I'm done. I like streamers hanging. So before I start putting any ornaments on, I'll tell you a few things about some of my ornaments. I've got so many here. Okay, when my husband and I built our home out here, we're on a little lake, and it's a fishing, sailing lake, and we had a little sunfish sailboat. It was real tiny, and he had carved this for me. And this is a hat that I would wear to the Purdue football games, and for a sun hat, and then he put this that I was sailing in the little sunfish, and he even put a number on it, which I thought was really cute. Also, the one Christmas he and I sitting out on the dock in our Adirondack chairs, and we were fishing. Now, if you notice, his fish is bigger than mine. Wasn't always that way, but he wanted to make it look that way. And again, I was wearing my sun hat. Then here's another one. It was in 2004, I believe. My husband had started getting ill, and he was mowing down a hill here, and his foot went under the mower and cut his foot bad. And so he had to be on crutches for a while, and so I mowed. Now, this is a story that I never really mowed because he didn't like the way I mowed. And so he was a very, very neat mower, and I try to be, but my yard never looks like it did when he was alive. But anyhow, he made this carving of me on the tractor, and I was mowing, and then he wrote a little note to me about mowing for him, thanking me for mowing for him. And I know he came out on the front porch once on his crutches, and I was mowing, and I didn't quite get around the trees yet, and he was telling me to get around the trees. I said, I'm going to, just give me time. He was actually starting to get dementia. He was getting aphasia. But he knew, and he mowed up until 3 years before he passed. This carving he made for me back in the 90s at church. I was on the altar guild, and we had to carry flowers up to the altar, and he made this, and this is what I had on when I had this red vest on, and this is what I had on. He always liked to do the outfits. Then this one here, he made for me. I did a fairy garden display and lecture in Delphos, Ohio, at my sister's garden club, and I made a little fairy garden, and he carved this for me because I had the striped bibs on. Okay, then Purdue went to the Alamo Bowl back in I think 97 or something like that, and he made me this snowman with the Purdue thing on, and it says Alamo Bowl. They haven't been to too many bowls, but they did go to the Alamo Bowl that year. And of course, he had to do me a Purdue Boilermaker. We did have a little music box on the bottom, but I think it got off some way. One year in the 90s, we took our family down to Gulf Shores, Alabama, and went deep sea fishing, some of us, and we caught red snappers, and this is what all of us that went on the fishing boat got for Christmas, was the snapper. And then one year he carved grandkids and he and I doves, white doves, a pair of white doves. The ones that were married got the white doves. So I thought that was really nice. And then one summer up at the lake, we had a Sea-Doo. My son-in-law had a Sea-Doo, and Sherry, my one daughter, she took me for a ride on the Sea-Doo, and this was Sherry and I going on the Sea-Doo. It was kind of a funny thing. Let's see here. Okay, of course, we have the Boilermaker train, and this was the 2001 Tournament of Roses parade train. Purdue did go to the Rose Bowl 2001. And one year when my daughter and her family lived in Virginia, we went hiking up to Roaring Run, and this was the hiking we went. I'm not sure how far it was. It wasn't real far, but it was really a nice hike up a mountain, and this is what he carved us for Christmas. The hikers.